which is how Hannes was doing his stuff, it can actually spin up an OS 10 computer. They have a farm full of aging X servers that I believe they want to try and replace with Mac Pros, but that's a little bit cost prohibitive at the moment. So I don't know what the future is for OS 10 with Travis. But yeah, you can pull up a fully fledged headless, so no GUI, just the CLI OS 10, and do any testing you want with it there. And it runs on pull requests and pushes, which was the important thing for us, so that we can check that all of our recipes still make sense, still do what we want them to do. And so I moved on to my second attempt, which is currently here, but will be moving to the Oxford IT repo eventually. And I've put the address that it will be going to. When we're using it in production, we're not yet. So this is just me buggering about. It's a bit fun. Okay. So the tests are based on a thing called the unit test framework in Python, which I'm not going to go into, but it's a way of testing little tiny bits of your code. And instead of doing that, I've learned to test little tiny bits of your auto package recipe. And you can run all sorts of things. You can just say, does it have a category? Does it have a developer? Is that field blank or not? And so on. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to show you a bit of a demo of what I'm talking about. Okay, so here, can everyone see that? Okay. So here, someone has, I've done a, I've made a sample repository which just has two auto package recipes in it, a download and a monkey. And it has this file, travis.yrl as well. And that tells Travis what to do when someone makes a pull request. And in this case, what it does is it clones my testing repository, the temp, and then finds anything with the name recipe and runs the tester on everything with the .recipe on it. So here we have pull requests. Someone has bought the repository and has decided to delete the stupid category that was in the recipe. And you can see down here now that all checks have failed. And in Travis, if I show you the details, this is what Travis looks like. Travis runs, it runs the virtual machine down here. And here you can see the tests running. The download recipe was fine, ran 7 tests, okay. But the monkey recipe ran 15 tests, there's more things to test in a monkey recipe, and it failed on one of them. And it says reason, input, package info, category, not found. And then it exits with 1, and the script as a whole exits with an error code. And so the build fails. So all the user has to do is I'm going to switch to the forks repo here, and I'm just going to edit that back. Okay.
Nice.
That's great. Live team. It really doesn't want to do okay, so I'm going to put key category and string
Live demo. Hardcore.
Okay, and then I'm going to commit those changes. And if I look back at the original and the request, you can see now that it's actually working. So it's spinning up a VM, and it's going to run those tests. And that can take a little while, so I'll just quickly show you what the code is actually doing in my tests. Okay. So basically, we've got a. I'll rush over this because it's you can read about it at your leisure on the repo itself. You have a base tester object, which just anything that starts with test in the class, it will run as a test. And so you just name. And then you have a recipe tester that subclasses from that that adds specific stuff to loading an auto-packaged recipe and running tests on it. And then you can subclass that and make these tests to your heart's content. So here I'm just saying, tell me that it's true that the recipe type is .monkey. And then tell me that that plist, that dictionary, contains info, package info category. Okay. Meanwhile, let's just see if this has happened. Okay, so all checks are passed because I made that correction to the code. Travis has gone through. It's run those 15 tests again. This time it didn't fail, so it exits with 0, which is green, which is a pass. And that's basically how I'm testing auto-packaged recipes with Travis. So, if you've got any questions now, let me know. If not, I can talk to you afterwards. Yes?
The word searching, so just searching for what? Searching for a key.
It's both. You can have an expected value, which is a regular expression, or you can have, is it just present or not? So the value, I can't find it now, but it does, yeah, you can have an expected value. If you leave that out, it will just search for the fact that that key is there. Yep.
So have you considered taking this further in testing the actual installation status of Monkey?
Yes. So because you can spin up an OS 10 box, you could test the whole thing about the recipe, whether it imports successfully. I mean, you could go even further and test various things about its functionality. For us, testing the recipes is the most important thing at the moment. But yeah, I am thinking about. We do have a stage where we have to see if it goes into Monkey. So there is still a manual part of that, and it would be great to automate all. Okay. Anyone else? Otherwise.
Could you start that from the top because the stream has just come up?
This be the Swetzers though. My illustrious boss, Marco, has a question. No? Oh, we put it in production when we fix all our recipes for the test pass, which they don't at all at the moment. So that is another job.
Now rewrite the test so they pass.
Well, yeah. That's one way of doing test-driven development. Yeah.
So do you update your recipes every time you run them, auto-package, or do you pin them specifically?
The pull request is just working on the code with their changes.
Okay.
So all that the Travis runs on is the code with their changes merged in. It tries to see if that will run. And if it does, we get a tick, and then yeah, we might still have to manually look over a couple of things, but we are more sure about adding it. Anyone else? Ben?
So, is there kind of an idiot's guide to Travis, or something to ease you into it?
I suggest playing around with it because it's actually very easy to use.
Okay.
And all it is you just tell it to run a script in a VM, and it does it, and it just clones your repo in there, and then we'll do whatever you want with the script. But yeah, I think Travis itself, its help pages are pretty good at just getting you up and running. So that's all I use. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
So, thank you, Graham. Thank you, Ben. It was very interesting. I learned a lot because it's clearly what I want to do with a different tool. Name it. Yes, I will name it Jav. So, what I want to talk is a bit more about DP, about why you should put, as Graham say, user the workflow instead of being just someone that you apply some restriction to. So, you see, it's stance, so it's not just, see, yes, okay. So, I'm FTIF on Slack. I'm a Mac consultant for large enterprises. I'm based in Switzerland, but I travel around. I have a blog which is McLovin. So, does it work? It doesn't work? So, IT continuation. I found this. I think it was quite interesting. It was made by Accenture in 2011, but it still applies, yes. I don't worry about my organization's IT policies. I just use the technologies I need to do my work. So this was the case at Cisco. I guess it was maybe Xerox. I don't know how possible it was. So here, strong library 36, or neutral 30. So we see that clearly people want to use the tools that they are comfortable with, and I guess it's better when they try to help them with the tools. Here, I think the hardware device and software applications that I personally use are more useful than the one provided by work. Sorry, strong library 45%. I like this because it's quite interesting to show this to IT. Sorry about the crop. So it's quite interesting to IT. Sometimes I see they feel, we all feel that we should show the way to the greater good thing, but usually the users are more aware of it than most of us, especially when they are young. So my goal is to go towards zero IT intervention on the user side. So it means that I have to take care of the procurement, DB, software install, security, and usage. So procurement, we found some interesting way of doing the procurement for our clients. For example, using retail. This is not something that we would use in a large enterprise usually, but it is quite interesting because we leverage local talent and they have a worldwide presence. So we don't need to do one contract per country, per city, per whatever. Here, it's something you can leverage globally. They have something called joint venture, which is for, I think it's up to 100 Mac, and it gives like preferred access to the geniuses, so we train them. We can use online, so this is where you have to do one contract per country. It's easy to order. The premium resellers, this is where usually you can get the best discounts because they can use their margins to give you additional points. You get personalized help, and of course it can accommodate for special requests. Apple here has, I think it's a 30 days payment policy of some kind, so for larger enterprise it usually doesn't fit, and not all enterprise wants to help Apple. And IBM, because I have to do it, it's a comprehensive program. It starts with, I think it's 2,000 devices a year, but I've yet to find someone that uses it. So if someone does, I'm happy to discuss it. DP. So what you need for DP? You need Wi-Fi. So it means usually you need a escape server or use a guest network. You have a WPA2 enterprise. So you need also sometimes an environment network. And just something I wanted to stress is that if you use with this, you need to use the Wi-Fi with a WPA2 enterprise. You need the identity certificate, which is basically it's a certificate for the user, so you have to deploy to the user, and when you do this, you don't have access to the Wi-Fi when the user is logged out. Usually doesn't mean there's any problem, because as Graham said, the user never logs out or never just even restarts the computer. For this, what I found I did with one client is to leverage Apple professional services. They are in US, but you can still call them, and like Enterprise Connect, you can do some arrangement to have them coming on site in Europe, and they can do a Wi-Fi survey, which is quite interesting. Because Wi-Fi is the basis of this, as NDM is. NDMs, I guess you all know, at least from iOS, it helps to deploy certificates, deploy profile. So one of the most common I've seen is a Casper switch, which has a strong NDM part, and micro NDM, which I will talk just a little bit. BPP, I like this because it's still a work in progress, I guess. It helps to leverage Apple's infrastructure, so you don't need to have to push to package your software and to push it. You just use Apple, how it works. And you can reclaim software, so you can push the licenses and reclaim when the user leaves the company. So MicroMDM, I liked it. It's still beta, but it's quite interesting. It works. It permits DP enrollment. It can do now an initial install of some apps, so Monkey. Very nice and interesting way to deploy Monkey. And it has a full RESTful API and SDK. So it's microdm.io, it's made by Boom and Mozilla on Slack. Software install. So I guess you've seen on if you use Jamf, Jamf Nation, sorry, what I've seen from DEP is that the process is you have the setup assistant, sorry. You run through the setup, then you arrive at the desktop, and nothing happens. So the user feels kind of, either if it's lost, okay, great, I have something that I just have an empty Mac. It doesn't see that there's some background stuff coming, working. So best case that he will just feel a bit lost. Worst case is that he will start clicking around, and his computer will not be compliant. He will miss some software, we won't have the VPN, perhaps Wi-Fi if it's depending on how you deploy it. So this can be quite difficult for the user sometimes. The idea of DP, if you don't know it, sorry, maybe I should have started with it. I was assuming it was an assumption, sorry. The idea of DP is that you just, as a tutorial, you just give the Mac to the user, the sealed Mac, and the rest of it is done by himself. So, what I was inspired, took inspiration from someone from IBM, in fact. So, what they do, I will show you. I should have done it now. I will show you later again. It's a way just to see what is happening in the background in the Jamf. So it displays company. Before it helps a user to wait until there are at least some of them on stage. I use AutoPKG a lot, so it's very interesting to use what you've done, because for me, AutoPKG is very interesting, and it should be used the way you do it. It should be a collaborative process, and not something that I do for the different shadow IT departments and all that we have on our clients. So it's a cookbook workflow. So just do a recipe, and then it automatically downloads from every night, let's say, from the developer's website. And when you arrive in the morning, everything is done. This is quite interesting. I love it. And sometimes I'm at a client. Let's see, I just open self-service. I see, oh, there's a bunch of new stuff that are coming in with updates and all, so it's quite interesting. The definitions are on GitHub, so you can have some sort of versioning, full versioning, and you can use Travis CI, which is very interesting to do automatic tests. It limits admin errors, because if you have a difficult workflow, it's we always forget one step for sure. And leverage the community. There are a bunch of recipes from the community that are interesting. So you can start easily. You were asking Ben about how to start easily with Travis CI. You can experiment, like you can do with the topic AG, but I think if you want to start with the topic AG, something very nice to do is to use the topic AG. Just install it, click it, and then it's you have maybe form or something very simple that's done out of the box. And App Store again. App Store, I try to push as much App Store as possible, but I think it's a long-term process. So Casper Splash, this. So the idea, in fact, the idea that it shows some information here, and then you see what is being installed. When it's installing, it becomes orange, and then green when it's installed. After a while, you can go to the next step, and it runs the script automatically. Security. Kerberos. So no more binding. So this was another assumption I made, that nobody ever binds to AD anymore. Yeah. And we had there's a very nice keynote presentation at the X-World about it, to bind this kind of the one we saw and we discussed at the London Apple Admin a few months ago. So for this, you have two tools that can be used: Enterprise Connect, Gala, Calmminder, another one that will be coming out soon. Gala doesn't exist yet, or maybe won't ever exist, but it's raised some very interesting conversation about how to do to create an open source way to tool to do Kerberos. And the interesting thing is you can sync the local with these tools. You can sync the local password from AD to the local computer. And when such screens, when you do it, for example, we have some websites on the client are use SSO, some other use certificates, some other use like plain password. So what we can do here, when Enterprise Connect, for example, detects a change from AD, it asks for the new password, then replicates back to the local, so also the login keychain, and then it runs a script to change a few keychain items, passwords in the login keychain. It's kind of necessary. So you can contact me or my team if you want to contribute, to have more information about Gala.
Someone should start that project.
Well, I put Sophos because this is what I'm using, but I've seen Scape, I've seen numerous others. So malware is coming. So shame, but now it's malware is coming as well. And so please use a non-intrusive antivirus. Maybe Sophos is not a good example. And the system security, you can use password policies. Be careful because there are some bugs. I don't know how to use them. Use firewalls and educate users to lock screens. When you have laptops and like things like this, where you can just grab your laptop, run away, it will lock automatically. But when you have a desktop, you still have to tell user, please lock your screen, so you can do it numerous ways. So Enterprise Connect can manage Kerberos tickets, sync local password with AD. It automatically mounts shares, like the home share of some other shares that you can push via a configuration profile, and execute scripts actually. So this is Apple Professional Service, so I guess another assumption that everyone heard of it because it's quite interesting. So contact your local representative. Usage. The goal is to go to use tier 0. So you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier whatever. Now tier 0, the user should do everything by himself. He should support himself. want to say. It means now when you have when we all, I guess, we have an issue with whatever tool we use, we go to Google. We don't go to the support or whatever. We go to Google. So and the user usually do the same. So the goal here is to empower them to use the existing tools that there is, use self-service app, and easily install with macOS recovery. So this is something I did with my mother. One day she called me, I can't work. She like this, and she called me. She said, okay, please calm down. So tell me what it is. Yeah, when I boot, I see a bunch of white lines. I don't know what happened. I said, okay. My mother lived in Paris, I live in Switzerland, so I knew it wasn't an option to go to Paris in the next hour. So I told her, okay, reboot, do Command R, and we did the thing, and it reinstalled only the system. So of course everything was kept, and she has a time machine, so I had a fail-safe, a way to put them back if something went wrong. But this works very well. Support, encourage users to go Apple. There's Apple Care, there's Apple Retail, so just use it because it's for a simple question, it can be very good. And maybe think about outsourcing tier 1 or tier 2 support for, I don't know, which one is used most here. Training. This is something I saw at my last client. They created a Genius Bar. So there are 4 people, sorry. 2 are doing iOS, and the 2 others are doing Windows and Mac. So this is great. It works very well at the Apple Store, and this is something you can maybe do at your enterprise. And use Apple Retail Workshop, because nothing again, it's very well done. My goal is just to use Apple because it's their job, but you don't have to replicate what they're doing. Get an Apple Care support. This is, I've seen, in fact, at my last client, again, I had an issue that I couldn't solve by myself. So I asked people in Slack, I asked Google, didn't answer. I asked, I put some stuff in Jeff Nation, and I didn't get an answer. Then, fortunately, I subscribed, we did a contract with Apple Care support. I said 1 ticket, I had the answer just straight away, like the day after. So this is, you can buy some tickets. I think it's 1,000. You can buy like a contract, and this is quite interesting. And something we don't do in Europe is Apple Professional Services. So this is what they do. They do iOS and Mac readiness. Why this is important? We all know how iOS and Mac works in the enterprise or at education or wherever. But why it's important to have someone from Apple, because not from someone from anywhere, from Apple come. They really talk for mostly around a week to each head of IT departments. So they will talk to the person in charge of infrastructure, operations, AD, Wi-Fi, whatever. And this is, I think, it's a very good way to make sure everyone in IT is part of the same project. Before, what I had is that I was hired by operations or security or whatever, and then I started to do like my own little project in one department, one IT department or one IT skill set or whatever. And a few months later, I said, oh, okay, but there's another requirement for another department, another requirement for another one. So after 6 months, maybe you have a totally different project that you have to tackle. So this is, I think, a good way to give you like a report on what are the green, orange, and the white points of every of the customer. Wireless readiness, I talked about it. This is like the basic stuff for iOS and now laptops. You need wireless network that works. Update, integration, OS update after Enterprise Connect, technology, share device, fast track iOS deployment. So this is a tree I used, and I guess things are very, very interesting for us as contractors, as consultants, as clients to use, because they empower us to go further than what we do. In Apple case, we support, get iOS, OS template, OS server, get command line, graphical interface, command line, troubleshooting of whatever, Active Directory, Red, Exam, everything from the iPod, if you have some, to Exam is covered. That's it.
Are you having success procuring enterprise connector outside of the US?
Yeah.
You're buying it directly
Yeah.
from companies that don't have a presence in the US, or?
You can talk to our local representative. We, for now, the tools that we use were based in the US because they need to do the contract has to be, the bill has to be in US. So
Yeah,
That's why I'm asking that question.
because ETH didn't get any support, and it's the third biggest university in Europe, so should be quite renowned. And we had the conversation. Max was there, and they didn't get any support from them. But they have no billing address in the States. They're in Switzerland. So.
But this is slowly changing, so it's important that you push your Apple sales guy and send me a mail or Slack. I will push as well the Apple Professional Services engineer. So please do, and it will change. There's so much traction that now they're starting to change and considering the European market.
Because there is definitely a need for it. I mean, only the Kerberos, they would pay for it. It's not a matter of those 5,000.
We can do it. We have to, in Switzerland, we know who to contact, and we should do it. So,
Okay.
There's also the Enterprise Connect channel on Slack. Actually has some professional engineers on there as well. So just keep plugging them.
Yeah.
They're very, very synthetic, so I don't know if they're passing up the chain, but
It's all the issue is that you can't get APS outside the US.
yes.
It's not a matter of buying EC. It's you're not paying for EC, you pay for a 2-day investigation.
And you're flying them out. You're paying for the flight costs. You're paying for the hotel costs. You're paying expense if you do it outside the US. But the gents, like I say, the gents are actually doing it. A few of the guys we've spoken to on there, they are very much aware. They want this to be honest, what they've said to us from the messages and the conversations with Slack, one is this should be built into OS. We don't need for anything else on this. Another thing is it should be global. These folks don't want to actually have to bolt anything off. They want to kill off the open source projects that do this because there's a real need there for them. Why are we adding this to an OS? So hopefully we could, poor guys, we're going to bug them. Hopefully they can pass it on the chain as well.
Show of hands, who has an Apple Care agreement outside of the basic? You need to email your tab. That's it.
Well,
How many folks
we have a different one. We don't have enterprise connect problems, but we do have an Apple Care agreement.
How many folks use, say, 80 Passmon, the code binder, those kind of things?
You were talking to Max as well.
So there's a handful of people using it. I mean, those kind of things are written to overcome the stuff that Enterprise Connect itself delivers. If you actually get to see one of the webinars, they cite out those open source projects as well. It's kind of this, these open source projects do this, but instead we're offering this Apple product, but then we're going to charge you for it, and you have to be in the US, and all these other constraints. So there's an awareness there if there's a need, so hopefully we can buckle the ball guys on Slack and they can do something. They really going to thank you for this, aren't they?
They are considering opening Europe. I'm sure they are. So please contact your Apple representative. Tell them you're interested about. I guess for us would be the Wi-Fi survey, the readiness survey. Maybe too late for some of us, but it's very interesting to see what's working, what's not working, what needs support, and this goes directly to the CIO. So this is how you get budget. And Enterprise Connect, so please contact me on Slack, active, on Enterprise Connect, on the Reminder, all these channels. Contact MacMule, and then we push, and we have some contacts in the Apple Application Services team. So please send this to us, and also with your Apple sales, and we'll push forward, and this will work for sure. We need this.
Right. So now it's the usual Q&A where nobody asks any questions. So do you have any questions? Yeah, the usual. So September 7th? September 7th, we're going to be at ITV, Southbank. It's going to be the Mark Lamont and colleagues show. They're going to run the whole night. There we go. We've got Holly presenting. Yeah.
100% Holly Williams.
I did ask. Unfortunately not. But
That's just on
the ITV Southbank 7th of September. And then we're looking at probably going to do, because of the way these turnouts have been, it actually seems to be that more regular event seems to work better for us. So we're probably going to think one in November. Depends on when we figure that one out. I know there's a few people that approached me about speaking, so hopefully they can still speak at the November event as well. This man is buggering off. November sometime. Good. Good that you had the date sorted. Sorry. So yeah, we'll see if we can tie dates up and stuff. And yeah, so unfortunately he's going to be stateside, laughing at us when we do his streams.
He won't be laughing at us if it's not streaming.
Sorry?
He won't be laughing at us if it's not streaming. Yeah.
But it will be streaming because he won't be doing it. So it's fine. Seriously, any questions for anybody? Anybody got any issues that they're facing at the moment that they would like to talk to someone about? Obviously, in the macro. Well, it's fine. Maybe we'll get later. Anybody? No?
I have a question for Graham. Just interested to know if you get any input from the US offices over what you're doing here or vice versa.
Yes, my entire team is based in San Francisco. I'm the only one not in San Francisco.
Okay. Which is why I'm moving. So do they do things in the same way?
Yes, I was hired because they were really important.
You get a lot of feedback from that guy in security.
Yes. Sam, yeah.
He's on Slack. So
Quick, Stuart. He's the only one tuned in now.
yes. What was that thing you had earlier about your comment or your commit about Queen's English?
Yeah. All right, I have one ask for you. If you have an empty beer bottle, you grab it, stick it in the bin. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do it. If you have an empty glass, stick it by the dirty washing. That'd be awesome. Thank you for coming. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to film. I don't know where.
There's still some. I'll put some beers in the fridge.
We don't have to leave for a bit. So
We have about 20 minutes before we get kicked out by the cleaners.
Free beer.
So a couple of beers, finish off the pizza. Remember.
We go down.
Sorry? Where are you? Where have you done?
That wasn't doing anything. I was touching there. I just got fat fingers.
It's not that well. It's just not that intuitive. It's
I was touching it.
How do I turn this off?
Yeah, there it is.
the last 3 places I've been to that.
Oh yeah.